A biopic about the team at Nike that took them from a running shoe company to the company that is synonymous today with basketball sneakers. For years, people have been arguing over who is the greatest basketball player of all time. Is it Michael Jordan? Is it Kobe Bryant? Is it LeBron James? Is it Greg Kite? Now, I don't watch enough basketball to have an opinion, but I can say that I think Jordan is the most influential and most iconic of the bunch. In Air, a movie built completely around Michael Jordan and his legacy, there is surprisingly very little Michael Jordan in the movie. He speaks less than 5 words and you never once see his face. Now, I'm not sure how Ben Affleck pulled this off. A movie about Michael Jordan without Michael Jordan, and you don't even miss him. A lot of times I find that movies and TV shows just shoehorn in any reference to the 1980s so that people my age get that nostalgic feeling and those twinges, and they constantly have the chance to say, I remember that. For whatever reason, I never felt that way in Air. The subtle and not so subtle nostalgic stuff in the movie felt right and was well done. Now, I'm not sure if licensing music in movies has gotten cheaper, but every single scene change in Air featured an 80s banger. It is worth watching just to see what song is going to play next. From the early moments of an 80s news montage played over the top of Dire Straits' Money for Nothing, I knew I was going to love this movie. Now, Matt Damon and Viola Davis are the true stars in Air, and both of them have wonderfully great monologues that are on par or better than anything that Aaron Sorkin, the king of the monologue and witty dialogue, has ever written. Damon gives a speech so good that the characters in the movie comment on how great it is. We also get a surprisingly mature performance from both Chris Tucker, who I didn't recognize until I heard his voice, and Marlon Wayans. Now, while Tucker was the comic relief in Air, his humor felt more realistic and down-to-earth than the characters that he's played in the past. Wayans, on the other hand, played his character completely straight and did a great job. He also gets a great monologue that features something that I didn't think could possibly be true, but according to the "Where are they now?" at the end of the movie, is indeed 100% true. Air, much like Tetris or Moneyball, is more about contract negotiations than it is about baseball or basketball or video games. Also, much like those films, it is way more entertaining than a movie about that subject should be. I loved all of the little jokes and comments that people made throughout Air for the modern day audience. Stuff like, you want to sign John Stockton to a shoe deal? He is way too small to ever make a name for himself in the NBA. Now, that's funny because the audience today watching the movie, they knows that not only did he make a name for himself, he is one of the greatest point guards in NBA history and is a Hall of Famer. There were several other people who would make declarative statements throughout the movie that modern day folks today just know to not be true, and I enjoyed all those little nods. Ben Affleck has turned out to be a pretty great director. Now, Air doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it has great writing, has great music, a great charismatic cast, and is entertaining enough that you don't need to know anything about Nike or tennis shoes or even Michael Jordan to enjoy Air. And if it weren't for a couple of over-the-top, way too over-the-top phone calls with Matt Damon's character being cussed out on the phone by Michael Jordan's agent, this would be a film that the entire family could enjoy. But because of those scenes, very R-rated. Cussing out someone over the phone, designing a revolutionary basketball shoe, pulling an all-nighter at the office, shoe company CEOs with bare feet, sitting at a picnic table with Michael Jordan's mother, the triumphant return of Chris Tucker.